Hi there. Welcome to Tuesday, March 10th, Call-in Live Show. If you don't have the number, I'll tell you how to call in later, a little bit later on. I'm Angry Soccer Mom, and if you're new to watching, I do a Tuesday and a Wednesday show at 9 Eastern. We talk about uh, talk about a lot of things. Talk about racism, bigotry, and inequality and corruption in America. And I like the shows to be what you want to talk about. And unfortunately, Pat, yay, thanks for being here. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it kind of includes almost anything in America right now because sadly, racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption, um, they're just how it is. Wyatt, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. So I'm really going to count on people who are watching to jump in and tell me what you think. And I'm going to try really hard to keep up because I can always blab, but who wants to hear from me? I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to know what you think. And it doesn't have to be what I think. I'm doing okay, Pat. Thank you. Marcus, howdy. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to have people jumping in. I was a little bit late starting. I apologize. Um, there is so much to talk about, and tonight, just like tomorrow night's show, can be anything you want to talk about or jump in. Any opinion. You do not have to be a professional. You can be someone who has a PhD in life experience. How's that sound? You can be a PhD, but if you have life experience um, here on this planet, in this country, or even another country, I want to know what you think. So we'll get started. If you're new to the show and possibly interested in hearing more, I do videos. Um, some of my videos are a little bit insane, pretty much like rants and stuff like that. So I do rants. Some of my videos are on the other side and very teaching, like a proper school teacher that I once was. I once was. Am not anymore. Lucky for me, I'm not beholden to anybody. So I get to say what I think and I get to keep it real and be truthful. And obviously, a lot of this is opinion, but you won't hear me making up BS and you won't hear me whitewashing over stuff. And if you do, I want to hear from you because I want to know. Because for white folks in America, it's a constant learning experience. There is no, are you racist? There's no yes or no answer to that. Or if we have to say it, yes, we are. We all are. And it's not a matter of us wanting to be, it's a matter of us being indoctrinated from birth. When you're born white in this society, you are pummeled with white is right from up, down, sideways, and every angle. And unless you have parents that are going to teach you, work with you and, basically set you straight, if you're white, there's a really good chance you're going to have, at minimum, implicit bias. So it's not a yes or no question. It's a matter of where on the lifelong continuum you lay if you are white. And I hate to say it. And because of that, I don't speak to people who aren't white and tell them what to do. Now, that might sound kind of strange, but if you think about it, how in the world would I, a woman who has always, pretty much as far as I've known, been white my whole life, how in the hell would I know better than the actual people living it? You're right. Of course I wouldn't. So why would I be arrogant enough and obnoxious enough to tell Black people or African American people the best way to solve the problems? No, I think not. So it's something that really important part for white folks because we are used to being the bosses. We're used to being in charge, or at least thinking we're in charge. And in general, yes, and specifically, obviously, if the CEO is a person who's not white, they're in charge. But well, good look at that. LO, the think white is right. The think white is right is always right. And you know what, Pat, you're absolutely right, and that's why I do what I do. I'm here to break the news. I always say you might before my videos, you might want to sit for this, and I don't mean it to be funny, but it's true. White folks in general, and no, I'm not talking about everybody, but unfortunately, I don't need to make that distinction. Why I don't make that distinction is because systemic racism in America is alive and thriving. So it's enough people that it doesn't no offense to people who are trying, like me, I'm actually trying to make a difference. It's not happening. More white folks need to help, not to be leaders, not to be saviors. I'm sorry, it's too late for that. Not to run the show, but because it's called being human. And that's what humans do is when they see their fellow humans being shit upon, which has basically been hundreds of years here, we don't stand and do nothing. So I'm getting a little sarcastic and a little jaded, and please forgive me. But this is ridiculous. This is not a hard lesson to learn. It's called being human. And I don't know, do you teach your kids to walk by when they see something that's absolutely unfair and wrong and unjust, or whatever, unjust, I'm not sure what the word is, but you get the point? No, I hope not. Then why the heck do white people walk by and do nothing when we're born into this? Sure, but we're not blind. We can eventually, at some point, even if our parents have perpetuated, Ronald, hello, thank you for being here. Even if they perpetuated, systemic racism in the cycle of learning to be a racist at some level, you are an individual person, and at some point, as you grow up, you will try to think for yourself, hopefully, and you'll realize that you've been fed a bunch of bullshit. And it's a long learning process, and I'm not saying it's easy, but once you catch on, I mean, you just, hey Gary, thank you for being here. Once you catch on, I mean, honestly, you see it and you have a choice. You can pretend you don't see it and be part of the problem. Well, I guess you have three choices, really. Pretend you don't see it, be part of the problem. In other words, do nothing. And that obviously is you. Doing nothing is not an option, obviously. That means you are helping to uphold the status quo, or you can sit down and educate yourself and say, you know what, something's wrong. I didn't do it, but I'm going to investigate. I'm going to use my critical thinking skills to figure out what is this cognitive dissonance. My mom and dad taught me this, or I think this, and I see something different. And so, or you can join the crowd and pretend that white people are superior. I don't know how good of a pretender you are. Some of us are better than others, but you can go your entire life pretending that white folks are somehow superior. It's not true, but as far as I know, it's still a free country. I'm not 100% sure on that at this point, but think what you want. But it doesn't make it any more true. White supremacy is a joke. We're all human. There are amazing white people, and there are white people who are pretty much the lowest of low. And it's the same with any shade of person. So we got to just, so what I do with the Tuesdays and Wednesday shows is I basically, white folks in general, sorry to say, I do generalize because, as I said before, we have extreme white supremacy in an age where this should not be an issue anymore, people. I mean, my God. So clearly, we've learned practically nothing, and we're continuing to perpetuate the cycle of systemic racism by teaching our children. Doesn't take long. They're not born that way. Sorry, as a school teacher, the little ones, they play, they don't care, they don't even look, they don't even know. You have to be taught severe, extreme, overt racism. That's something that's taught by the family through example, or through more than, or by not saying anything. This is a tough thing. We've really not, that's one good thing Trump's done. He's brought out the truth. And honestly, a lot of people are like, Trump hasn't done anything good, but you know what? He has closed the gap of cognitive dissonance, because you know what? We have a leader that right now consistently matches who we are as Americans. And it's disgusting, albeit it is closing the gap. So if nothing else, he's brought out the truth. I would think, and my biggest frustration, to be honest, is that, okay, we have a monster for our president who reflects exactly who we are. Again, if he didn't, we'd stop him. Okay? Letitia, so if the president matches Americans, then how come we had Obama? Well, I'm not sure. That's a really good point. I don't know. Vaughn, hello. I don't know all the answers. I don't get all the answers, but I mean, that's a complex question, and I could certainly tell you what I think. Um, but I don't think. See, here's the thing: a lot of people, when I say racist, people think, "Oh, it's a terrible word." I'm racist. Okay, I hope I'm not overtly racist, but as a white person born in this society, this is just my theory. This is not. I'm not. I have implicit bias. That's part of being human, and it's absolutely part of evolutionary biology. It doesn't mean I have to accept it. It means I can say, I have this implicit bias. Where did I get it? How did I get it? What did I do? How did it happen? In one of my videos, I show how it happened to me easily. There are incidences in your life that you notice you got them. And the thing is, when we got Obama, I don't think white people are bad people. I don't hate white people. I'm accused constantly of hating white people. I don't hate them. How can I hate them? I am one of them. I'm relatives with a lot of them. I don't hate white folks. I expect more from white people. That's all. In the same rate that white people do, unless they are absolutely beyond superior at what they do. And that's just not fair, because some of us are not born superior. We have good strengths, we have weaknesses, but you shouldn't have to be the superstar, of the world to be able to succeed if you're not white. And I'm sorry, a lot of people who are white don't succeed, okay? Doesn't mean they're bad. Being white doesn't make you succeed. It just means your whiteness is not going to be a factor that stops you from succeeding. It's a big difference. I'm going to shut up now and take some comments, but I have a little agenda tonight. And if you want to call in, I would love to have you call in. If you don't have the number, it means you didn't write to me on my Facebook group, the only one that I'm clinging on to for dear life, the one that is called Angry Soccer Mom. And it's a page. And if you personally write me, and I will check you out, because we had some big troll problems. And if you check out okay, you get to call in, and that's that. So let me take some comments, and let me see, Alicia. So if the president matches Americans, then how come we had Obama? Oh, I took that one. Yeah, and that's, for me, that's really complicated, because I don't think white people are bad people, and I don't think they're all overt racists. That's the thing. I have some strange philosophies when it comes to this kind of thing, because I've been pondering this question my entire life, and I'm kind of old. So I want to know why we do it. Why do we do it? And a lot of people are really simplistic about that and say, well, we like to feel superior. Well, but seriously, I think we know that's ridiculous. No one's superior. That's like a ludicrous, thing. So I don't get why. Bad ego, bad self-esteem. We've always done it. I don't know. There's 1,000 reasons, and they're probably a very complex number of reasons. But here's the thing. I don't think people are overtly racist, like in the sense like, oh, he's a black man, I can't vote for him. But let me tell you, from what I've experienced with white folks, when push comes to shove, we're about us. And you can talk the talk, and I'm going to talk about this tonight. Moderate white folks are a problem. And that is my promise for tonight's show. And you can talk about whatever you want, if you call in and stuff. But my premise is, it's not enough to talk nicely and use the words and be polite. It's not enough to be nice to everybody. It's not enough. It's holding up the status quo. And it's a lovely thing. It's not a terrible thing to do, but it's not enough. Being nice to everybody is not going to dismantle this. Okay? Action, education, and standing up for what's right. And when enough people do it, I'm not saying white people are going to lead. I know Black, brown, indigenous, African American people are going to get their equity and their equality. But what are we doing? Watching? We should be helping. We did this. Why wouldn't we want to help? Because ultimately, over there, equality is going to be ours. If you've studied history, we have a common plight. And a lot of us white folks just don't seem to know it. And it's going to come back to more than kick us in the ass. It's destroying our democratic republic. And as crappy as many people feel it is right now, the Constitution is what we got. And it is a document that needs to hold up to this because we don't have any other options. I mean, you can say we can watch the whole, U.S. fall apart. Countries like ours, a lot of people believe we're in the late stages of the democratic republic. You got two ways to go: dictatorship or become more humane based. In other words, stop making capitalism a freaking lifestyle. Let's put it back to being an economic, something in our economy. That's how our economy runs, not a lifestyle. With things like for-profit healthcare, are you kidding me? For-profit prisons? That's disgusting. So anyway, I'm really on a rampage tonight. I'm gonna stop talking. Letitia, I don't have a great answer, but that is part of it. It's that overt racism might be, they're black, oh my God. A lot of people aren't like that right now. But let me tell you, when I talked to my friend Tim and did an interview, I have a show I'm gonna put on from him, and his one experience he had this past week. I just haven't gotten it up yet. He had a friend who he thought was, as a white woman, he really liked her, thought she was educated, university professor, and he thought she got it. But when push came to shove, she wasn't there for him, when she could have been. She could have used her white privilege to do what's right. But, she just couldn't do it. And that's the problem. That's the difference between people who vote for Obama and vote for Trump. They might not be overtly racist, but it wasn't a deal breaker. When they saw how absolutely racist, bigoted, misogynistic, horrific he was, it wasn't a deal breaker. It shows you where the person is. I'm sorry, call me judgmental. I'm sick of this shit. I am a white person and I'm sick of it. I can't imagine what it feels like to be a non-white person in this society. I can't. And I'm trying to, because I'm trying to get this stuff. And as a white person, I feel just absolutely enraged. People say, oh, you feel guilty. No. They are absolutely, maybe they feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I'm mad. I'm angry. Because this is called acting human. This is not like, oh, we should get credit for doing what I do. No. This is called acting human. This is just what everyone should be doing, is standing up for our fellow humans. And I don't get why. And listen to me blab. Okay. Comments. Sorry. So, Alicia, very, very good questions. Very complicated. Let me see. Vaughn, I am so happy you're here. I hope I said that. I think I said that twice. I'm thrilled to have people here. If you know anyone who kind of should be here, that's white, send them on. And again, I don't hate white people. I'm just incredibly disappointed as a whole. Okay, of course, the white people who are here actually care, and you just have to care. This is not that hard. And you have to want to learn and not be afraid to drop your ego at the door. And I learn every day, and I make mistakes every day. I'm sure I've made 10 just now. But great questions for the show, Letitia. I appreciate it. Gary, Trump is everything that is vile about Americans. Absolutely. Obama is what's good about us. Not perfect, but working on. Exactly. In order to form a more perfect union, it does not say we're perfect. America's never been great. We all know that. If we were great, we'd be the leaders in humanity. We'd be leaders in humanism. We'd be the leaders in medical care. We'd be the leaders of the world for one thing, and that is to show what it means to be human. And sadly, we are very much not even close. And I believe in America, and I believe in us. And yes, we've done some shitty things, and we're still doing some really shitty things. But if enough of us care, it doesn't have to be like this. And that's where my frustration comes in. It's like, oh, my life's great. Or maybe not. Maybe your life's not great. Maybe you're struggling so damn hard you don't have time for it. But at this point, you don't not have time for this. I'm not kidding. I mean, you guys, we're going to go socialist a little bit with social democracy, because that's the only way to solve our problems. Or we're going to go into a regime and have a king if you think you're having a bad life now, I'm not wishing this on people, but let's be real. You are not going to be a happy person. I'm talking about white people. You are not going to be a happy white person unless you're a gazillionaire. And if you're a gazillionaire, then what are you doing sitting there doing nothing? Ah, call. Ah. Okay. What are you doing nothing? Hi, welcome. Thanks for calling in. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yes, I can.
Hello. Did I get you riled up enough to call? Sorry. Welcome to the show. You got 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone tells me I let people talk too long. I'm like, oh, geez. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome. What do you have to say?
You know, the thing is, I mean, the average white person, they say, well, why do black people be mad? It's not, I mean, if they took the time to actually, realize that, hey, we're mad at the situation that is against us, and uh, it's hard just being who we are and trying to get through today's society, and when the odds is strictly is deliberately against us.
Purposely. Absolutely.
That's right. It's purposely done, and this is not no coincidence. I mean, you can go back and look this stuff up. I mean, there is laws that was deliberately put in place to keep blacks from ever having any kind of success.
Yep.
Basically,
we're doing it right now with the voting. With the gerrymandering. I mean, it's crazy. We're still doing it.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
And if a black person go and get a job, I promise you, he's gonna have to work tooth, nail, and claw harder than any other person at that job. Okay, just to prove himself. Okay, and then when they get ready to lay off, guess what?
He'll be the first person looked at.
That black person will be the first one to get laid off or even fired.
Yeah. Well, laws can't change people's hearts, and laws are really good, but they don't change people's hearts.
No.
Only we can change our own hearts by thinking and using our brain.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
But you're taught a certain way, and you're not trying to change, then that's what you get.
Yep. So, very nice points.
Have to want to change. Yeah, just because somebody taught you a way that is not good, that don't mean that you still have to consider teaching your children that same way, when strictly there's a other way, better way. I mean, because then all you're doing is setting even your children up for failure.
Absolutely. It's a disservice to your kids to not raise children who are children of the world and are maybe children of the white world. Well, good luck with that. It's abusive, I think. But I have extreme views, according to many people.
Exactly.
But
that little 6-year-old kid that was he was all on Facebook calling black people the N-word, and one black guy asked him where did he learn it from. He said he learned it from his mom and his dad told him. And say,
just a white child, a white child or a black child, or
a little white kid. He said his mom and dad told him to call every black person was the N-word. So
well, the kids.
It's how your kids have been being taught. I mean, if you're gonna instill those kind of things,
kids are watching.
Kid, all you're doing is setting that kid up for failure.
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of funny when I think about my childhood. My parents didn't say one single word bad about anybody, but they also didn't say one single word. But you know what they did do is they might not have said a word, but my parents from a very young age had every person. I mean, we had. I didn't know it at the time because they didn't tell me what it was. I thought it was normal. That's how sheltered I was. I thought it was normal. My parents had very close black friends to their house, Chinese first generation people, Indian from India. I mean, we had every person. I just thought that's what people did. So I was more shocked
Yeah,
when
I
I.
understand that,
But they never said a word though. They
it,
never said anything.
yeah, I get that, but also the average white person, they tell their kids that okay, you can be friends with the black people,
Mhm.
but you can't mix and mingle, or you can't date them.
I can't imagine that. That's so interesting because my best friend when I was 6 years old was a little girl named Donna Edwards, and when I think of my own experience, I didn't know she was black. I didn't know any. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I didn't know. Um, my parents showed me. Thank you, Nelson. They showed me how to act without making it like a big ordeal. This is what I just thought it was normal. But when I had little Donna over, Donna lived in what they called the projects in those days. I didn't know that. I didn't go over to her house. It was in a it was in Michigan, and Michigan wasn't doing too well, helping people. And she came to my house always. I didn't question why. My mom never told me. My mom never told me that she had a mom who was very impoverished, working her ass off to make ends meet for her kid. My mom didn't tell me that. And Donna got in trouble a lot at school, and she was only 6 because I was only 6, and she was fun, and I liked her. And you know what? My mom didn't tell me she was naughty. My mom said she's just. My mom would tease me. I'd say, "Why does she do that?" And my mom didn't say because she's black. She said she is so creative and she's just bananas. She loves to be just wild, and it's just so fun for her. But don't. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
See, children is a clean slate until whatever you
we're
put into
innocent.
them. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you ruin that pure innocence, then you're setting your kid up for failure. Because
Totally
you can
agree.
take a little black kid and a little white kid and put them, in a room, and they're gonna play. They're gonna do what kids do.
Absolutely.
Until someone instills something within their minds of being prejudiced
Or society.
racist.
Yeah, or society. Yeah. You are absolutely right. And it's, and although I don't blame my parents for not teaching me anything, they did a hell of a lot better than most white parents. They didn't, I've never heard my grandparents, them, anything, nothing. They said nothing. It was the era of, color. We're all colorblind. Yet they showed me that what you do. So I don't know. But I mean, so they did compared to most, they did pretty good. Really good.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a gift you give your kids. That's a gift you give your children.
Because it's what you teach them. They're gonna do exactly what you teach. Some they may deviate from it a little bit, but chances are, whatever you instilled into that kid, the kid is gonna do it. It's gonna show within his character.
I can't imagine if my parents came up to me and said, "You can be friends with them, but you can't ever." I mean, like, what? I mean, that's like.
You'd be surprised at the ones that they would tell you that, and I've come across several. A lot. And I was like, what? Yeah, why is that? And it shouldn't matter. Hey, color is just skin deep. We all didn't make ourselves. So we can, get over that. The thing is, hey, I'm gonna treat you accordingly. How you treat me. I don't care on your color or what have you. At the end of the day, you're still a human being.
Yeah.
Okay. And from that said, that hey, I'm gonna treat you with the respect that you deserve, and I expect the same.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you don't like the person, maybe you don't like them, but it doesn't need to be because of their melanated.
That's a personal preference,
right?
If you don't like the person, then hey, you don't like. Not everybody is likable.
Exactly.
I get that.
But it doesn't need to be because of it's kind of funny.
Just because you don't like somebody, that doesn't mean that you have to treat that person real bad.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. It's a few people I don't like, but hey, I don't treat them bad just because I don't like them.
Well, that's the way you can judge a person's character is by how they actually treat the people that they are least compatible with. And you know what? One thing my mom did teach me well. She said to me, giving me advice when I was really little, and I didn't know what she was talking about because I was too young for this. She said, when you date, you watch how a man treats his mother, and that will end. And I was like, huh? Date? Ew, boys have cooties. That's so weird. But I remember that. She said, you watch how they treat their mother because that is going to be you. And I was like, wow, how profound. Okay, it was like 4, but still. It's like, but anyway, we had some issues in our family. Boundary issues, age appropriateness issues, but anyway.
Well, hey, family is important at the end of the day, you know. And I mean, it's nothing like having family, So when you teach your kids the right way, trust me, it's going to be a reflection of who you are.
Yeah. It's one thing they did really well with, in my opinion. Both my, and that's the one thing they did well. Sadly, we're not close today, but I will always be thankful for that because boy, oh boy, they could have been a disaster like a lot of white folks are these days. I'm going to go on to all these questions, but I cannot thank you enough for calling. You are such a sweetheart.
All right.
Always with the great wisdom. So I appreciate it.
Yes. Okay. And you have a great night, and talk with you soon.
I hope so.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye. Yay, my first call-in. Bye-bye. So, oh my gosh, great wisdom from an amazing person. Of course, I always know who the people are. Oh my gosh. Let me get to some comments. Letitia, you might as well let people call in if you truly believe what you believe. You should put your views up to scrutiny from the other side. The people who were being trolls weren't being those kind of trolls. Nails and Glitter, maybe you want to explain? They weren't being people who were oppositional to, standing up against racism. It wasn't that kind of troll. They were from 4chan or whatever you call it, and they were being very silly, very, how shall we say it, young acting. It was obnoxious. I mean, it was kind of funny, but it was disruptive. Oh, no, if people come in and they're respectful, and I have no problem because that's what I believe, and it's not like really up for debate. But yeah, no. Nails and Glitter challenges me all the time. I have tons and tons of friends I talk to on FaceTime, that kind of thing. Well, I don't have FaceTime anymore, but on like other apps. And my mentors aren't afraid to challenge me. And neither are a lot of my friends. I get challenged so I'm not hard to challenge. It's just these guys weren't doing that. They were more like talking about my body and it was just ridiculous. It was just too much. Kind of funny, kind of sophomore, so yeah, that's not the way it was. If that was it, I got a really, really good monitor who takes care of. She makes good choices and she's very, very good. Thank you, Nelson Glitter. You're awesome. But yeah, no, these guys were goofballs, and there's like 100, 200. There was a lot of them. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm not afraid to, because another thing, not to just jump all over this, but like I said in one of my videos, and I've said this before, and I think you were there, Letitia, I can't debate a Trump supporter. there's no, I mean, I don't have the capacity to debate them because all I would say is you're a horrible human being. And I know that sounds sanctimonious, but see, I will agree to disagree on almost anything eventually. I'm stubborn, but not when it comes to my fellow humans. Civil, human rights, and equity. No, I won't. And so all I can say is if you don't want that, you don't follow our Constitution, you're un American, and you're an asshole. And so that's not an argument. I mean, that's just as bad as calling me fat because they don't like that I actually believe in equity. I mean, I don't know how to support. I don't know how to debate somebody who's like pro hate. So it's kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I spent a lot of time doing it. It's just it's hard, it's tough. I hope I'm making. I don't know, but well, you can't talk to them and debate them. It's obvious society has passed words at this point. It could be. Yeah, and that's something that I. Yep. hmm Well, I mean, how long do you wait? How many weeks, months, years, decades, centuries do people have to wait to not have more than what everybody has? To just have a fair shot at what everybody has in a country that boasts liberty and justice for all. You tell me. I don't know. I'd probably be up in a week. I don't know. I've never been a person who has to live that. But I can say one thing is this has gotten to the point where it's not it's not nothing's working. It's not working. The chat's not working. Um I don't know what to say. That was one of my questions last week. Do we actually have to have I actually posted a video on it this week called Civil War Roman numeral 2. Is that what we have to do? I don't know. I don't know. Black Americans need their own country. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel that way. I don't blame them one bit. Yeah, and I'm just skipping around because I want to keep Letitia in the loop because I'm kind of responding to her. I'm not trying to skip everybody. But yeah, I honestly, I heard of this like vacations you can go where you don't have to deal with white people at all. I think just you're saying that's the only way. It's a possibility because if this is progress, we're going like this. I mean, we are not. This should be done. This should be over. There should be no systemic racism in my mind. Now, I have high expectations. I think it should be like appalling to have this kind of the statistics, excuse me, that we have in this country. I mean, from maternal death rates to just you name it. Hello, hi to Bulls. I'm trying to say hi, but yeah. I mean, this should be. I don't know. Maybe I'm like I think people should be like overachieving, but this is ridiculous that we have systemic racism in America today. And it's the same thing when we talk about. I'm a humanist. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not anything. I'm just a humanist. And when you look at every part of humanism, the idea that, and I know Bernie Sanders is not perfect and he's not my first choice, but I mean, let me tell you, when people say he's progressive and wow, he's radical, I beg to differ. He's not radical. He might be progressive for America, but dang, look around. We've been sitting here saying how great we are till we turn blue in the face here. Other countries are better to their people. See, what we think's great is money, and what I think's great is humans. And we have a real disconnect because before we had capitalism as an economic system, not as a lifestyle. Now that corporations have become people, Citizens United, thank you very much, and for profits are things like healthcare and prisons. This nation is going to turn regime or do something else, and there's only two ways to go. And I think we're making a big this election. I think is a big choice. Anyway, enough about me. Letitia, thank you so much for being blunt and saying what you think. That's what this is for. I will keep taking some questions and then we'll go on. Do you think the okay? Oh, Letitia, do you think whites being guilty or super nice to black people is a form of racism? Um, yes and no. Yeah, I know where you're going with that. Yeah, yeah, sometimes. Because here's the thing. It's kind of it's a big pot of lots of stuff. But yeah, it can be. It can also be that the white person's literally never been around somebody like that, only heard the racism and doesn't know how to act, doesn't know how to be. It's like you go into a situation where I mean, I've been the only person in a room of 200 people being white. I've been there, done that, but not everybody has. And so white folks just, even if they never noticed before, it's like, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's different. But certainly, if you think that you need to be nice to the poor black people, that's racist because that means you think that, oh, they can't handle their own themselves. They can't, they need us. I mean, I don't tell people like if they're truly racist, only the person can tell. I don't know what's in people's hearts. You know, I it's just, it's very complicated. But yeah, it can be. To answer your question, sure, that can be, or it can be just somebody who's just ignorant, doesn't know, and it's a big problem. It's obviously on a systemic level. It's a big problem for even for a white person. Like I'm not an idiot. I hope I help people in some way, but I'm not making any systemic changes personally. But I hope to hell that I'm educating some people. If I educate one white person, then that's what matters to me. But it's huge. Great questions. Gary, yes, Trump is everything that we can. Let me see. So I skipped I hope I didn't skip anybody else. If I did, yell at me. Let's move along here. Nails and glitter. They showed us. Yes, they did. And I wanted to say they didn't just show us. When my sister brought home a man of color to marry, my parents could have given a shit, in the sense that, oh, it's a man of. They just, as if he was anybody else, and she's still married to him today. And they weren't just talking. My dad in his older years went to work at Martin Luther King Jr. Hospital in Watts. He could have gone anywhere. He wanted to go there because he wanted to be there for the neurology for people who were shot. Because at the time, LA had a horrible problem with gangs, and it was like a war zone. And he's one of the only neurologists in the area. My parents walked the walk, and that makes me proud. Right now, I'm not sure if, like, in their old age, no comment. But when I was a kid, they did not talk about this. They didn't. Maybe it would have been better if they talked about it too. But hey, for the time they did it. I feel good. I never, like my friend Dixon, he was raised racist. He had to like kind of unlearn and figure it all out. I never had to unlearn. I had to learn, but not unlearn. It's still a really big process and lifelong, but I'm glad I didn't have to unlearn. And also, I didn't have to like feel like bad about like, oh God, I said this. No, I was just ignorant, but I definitely didn't. I didn't even know any of those. I didn't know anything. So it's hard to explain, but yeah. Where? Oh, lots of people. Anton, yay! I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Let me see. And Letitia, white folks do not understand the gravity of this. They do not. I can definitely, in general, they don't, and it's really bad because soon they might, and it will be too late. Really sad. And what do you guys think about what Letitia's saying about the own country? I've heard it many times. I've heard it many times. I want to know what you think. What I think is really of zero consequence. What do you think? You're saying that to me as well, so you want me to answer. Okay, fair enough. I'll try to, yeah. But I want to know what, yeah, people are dying. This is an emergency, and white folks don't get it. And that's why I am absolutely appalled. No offense to anybody who likes him. I'm good with it. Biden's not enough. Sorry. He's a lovely moderate, but he's status quo. Teacher, the gravity is people are done talking on both sides. Interracial goes to Black nations, and yeah, I mean, as a white person, that's really not my place to say, oh, I'm all for it. Or, no, that's obnoxious. So I can't really. I'm not trying to scooch out of it. I truly believe that is not my lane. How could I tell somebody what's best for them when they're living it? I can't do it. I don't. Plus, I don't know I don't know what's best for everybody, but I certainly don't know what better than what Black folks know. Thank you, Jillian. Yay, you're here. Hello. I'm doing fine. I hope everyone's staying healthy. This is a bit of a crazy thing, but great comments. I'm here to talk real. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to be able to tell you something cool and amazing if I don't have something cool and amazing to say. So yeah, I don't know, but I do not tell people whether that's best for them. As I personally would, if I was, I can just tell you, if I was a Black person and a white person told me what was best for me living in this system, I would find them absolutely obnoxious. I mean, it's obnoxious, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants obnoxious. But yeah, I have opinions, but not my lane. People need to do what they need to do. And if, you know what? People need to do what they need to do to be okay. Because what's going on is not okay. And I don't wish any harm against white folks or myself or anybody, but this has to stop. The depths of this barbaric crime against humanity, which is what I personally believe systemic racism is, it's surreal. It's just unbelievable. Jillian, we should not vote this year because Biden is the worst candidate, especially with that crime bill. Yeah, well, I was going to get into that. I have some serious issues with him. As a white person, and I mean as a white person, I will vote for whoever is the nominee, and I do not expect people to follow suit. I do not blame you. I do not judge you. Do what you need to do. I personally, because I do have an opinion, as you can tell, kind of a big one, Trump's a monster. I don't think the next person who comes in, if he's not incredibly progressive, is going to do much, but uphold the status quo. But Trump is Trump wants to be king, and you've heard me say it over and over again. And that's terrifying because we are at a place in our history. We're in the latter stages of a democratic republic, and it only goes one or two ways. And I see a man who would love to make himself president for life and make his little barren son maybe the next, or maybe one of his bigger boys the next. The man is insane as far as I'm concerned, and no one's paying me to say this, so I can say it. Thanks, Jillian. But what other people think, absolutely, I get it. Got to do what you got to do. Got to do what you got to do. But I only speak to white people, and I'm critical because we should be doing better than this. This is not our best. I don't care if we're born into this. Nope. Not buying it. And I'm certainly not buying this. Oh, it's the time, all this stuff about, oh, they just did that at the time. No. There have been abolitionists everywhere for a long ass time, and when things were not good. And I do not buy that. Well, it was the time. It was, that's just another excuse. And there's a lot of them. Okay, I'm on a rampage. Thank you for your great questions and comments, Jillian, and everybody. Okay, so where was I? Announcements. I want to know what you guys think about this, and this is just helping me if you give me your opinion. Doing a Tuesday and a Wednesday show is kind of a lot for me as a human being. I love doing it, but I'm becoming exhausted. I'm thinking I might, because remember, the Tuesday show, for those of you who've been with me for a while, was meant to be a panel. I want to be in the corner. I do not want to be talking. I did not want to be prepping anything. Even though I prep anyway, I don't want to have to be able to be the person talking. I wanted to just sit in the corner and have a panel. But we can't do that right now because too many people are just really fearful of the consequences. And I don't blame them one bit of getting their face on here. And yeah, thanks, Julian. Okay, I appreciate it. Wednesday's always been the show. We've had it for over a year. It's been going, I'm happy with it. But I want to put the call-in dynamic in there. And I want to eventually just give the number out. I mean, it's kind of crazy to just dole it out one by one. I want people to call and say what they want to say. We just got trolled like crazy in a very intense way. It's kind of crazy. But so I might not keep doing this Tuesday show. Yeah, thanks. I figured Nails and Glitter, as I was going on today, I thought, yeah. And I will support the man because as much as I don't think he's going to bring us anywhere, Trump's bringing us to hell fast and faster than I ever thought. But I don't blame people who are like, I'm out. But anyway, thank you for your opinion. If you have an opinion about the Tuesday or Wednesday, let me know. Wednesday's always been kind of the day, and the Tuesday was supposed to be panels. Tuesday might turn into call-in only. That's a possibility. Have a couple people who just want to call in and give their opinion on a certain topic. Because I really like doing the Tuesday, but I just don't like doing the talking because I'm like, I get too nervous, and it's a lot to prep for. It doesn't seem like it, but Wednesday's my big day where I want to be able to talk about anything that comes my way, so I want to be really prepared. And then, like, I'm overly prepared. Long story. Let's move on. So this might be the last, at least in this format. But if so, we will have calling on Wednesday. Calling on Wednesdays. That's my favorite thing, is to have people call in for 5 minutes and say what they think. Okay, so tomorrow we will, of course, have the Wednesday night show at 9 Eastern, and I hope you can be there. And let me see. I am on Twitter. Don't know how to use it at Imagine No Hate on Twitter. Wish I knew how to use it. I prepared a few talking points today that I'd love to hear what you think. The coronavirus for-profit healthcare. If this doesn't show us that we need universal healthcare, then nothing will. And in the next couple weeks, and everything, it's ridiculous. I'll get into that later. The problem with moderates. I have a little rant on that. I want to know if you are comfortable. Tell me. I want Black folks and African American folks and people who are not of the white persuasion. What do you want white people to know? I know Nails and Glitter has unequivocally told me what she wants, and I got that. But not a lot of other people have told me real concrete things. And I want, yeah, I know. Oh my God, you're so funny. Nails and Glitter, I know we got to counsel you, poor thing. I want to know what you think. What do you want to tell white people? Like, I'm going to throttle you? Tell something, that if you wanted to tell white people stuff. I have a few things I want to tell white people, but I do in my videos. And some of my earlier videos are rather blunt. And I've been told that I'm too mean. And what I say to that is, maybe you're not ready for the real stuff. Go to one of my 101s. They're very nice. They're very sweet. They're very teaching. But my real feelings are in my rants. And if you're not ready for that, I totally get it. Don't watch them. But educate yourself. Don't just run away. I mean, my rants speak from my heart. And a lot of my older ones are literally, I'm screaming. You're not mean, you're just real. Thanks. That's kind of how I feel. And it's like, I think, Jillian, if people knew the history and knew the incredible harm and death and destruction of people's lives and frustration and get a scientific education. Tell me more, Willie. Tell me more. What do you mean? Then if you can elaborate on that, I'm not sure. Like, it's almost as if my initial, when I first made videos, it's almost as if I thought maybe the white people just don't get this. And maybe if they just knew how bad it was and knew their own racial history and understood the implications of that history and how it severely impacts today, maybe they'd get it. But now because remember, I will change and grow and morph my opinion as I get older because every day I learn something new. White folks don't have an end, like, okay, now I'm the woke person. No, 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 no. No, we take our last breath and I'm sorry, we're the white person, and hopefully we've really cared and tried, but we'll never get there. How could we? We're not living it. Just my take. But Willie, tell me more, if you can. So, if you have, is that what you? Oh, wait. Let me back it up. Get a scientific education. Are you saying that is your advice to white people? Got it. Is that if it's your advice, you got to put, I'm so out of it. You got to put my advice so I'll know what it is. Because I'm like, gotcha. And what you mean is get a life and learn what melanin is and learn what activated melanin is and learn like racist human construct. Is that kind of like, in other words, don't be an idiot and fall into this ridiculous propaganda that, okay, got it. Yes. Thank you. White is not even real. Absolutely. White was just made up so that we could have something to say that we're supreme about. Yeah, no, absolutely. I got it. Yeah, and unfortunately, all the schools do teach the supremacy, and I don't know what to do about that because as a school teacher, it would be question everything. Right. Thank you. I'm going to use yours. Because you're pinpointing it. I need real, like, tangible stuff I can say. I'm going to use it in my top 10 video. So thank you. Now I have 2. 8 more to go. I want to know what you think. What I think is, okay, lovely, but it doesn't really matter. I want to know what you want to tell white people. That's what matters. So I'm like begging, please tell me. And I know it's hard. Like, give me one thing. Give me 2 things. I don't care. I'll sort it out. But absolutely. Homeschooling, nails and glitter. Absolutely. Yeah. Or like, give me one thing. Give me 2 things. I don't care. I'll sort it out. But absolutely. Homeschooling, nails and glitter. Absolutely. Yep. Acting human. We don't get credit for that. Darn. But we should. Thanks though. Neil, yay. Isn't that the same as do your own research? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Like, educate yourself. Maybe. Neil, that's a good point. Hi, Neil. Yay, happy New Year. And homeschool. I'm telling you, it's incredibly unfair. But if you have the capacity to homeschool as a teacher, unless you get a spectacular teacher who just gets it and is not going to play that game, is going to work against their white person, they're going to work against their own implicit bias, they're going to work against it, and they're going to do the opposite, then it is just ingrained, and it is so hard. It's very complicated. But yeah, so, and then anyone who wants to talk about Joe Biden versus Bernie Sanders, I have a lot to say in it, but I wanted to start talking about the coronavirus and universal health care, and tell me what you think. Willie, I would also ask them to realize why their ancestors came to America in the first place, escaping poverty and abuse, most likely. Absolutely. No, that's you're not voting, Letitia. Okay. Willie, yeah. So it sounds like to me you want them to start thinking. That's what I want. I want white folks. That's the one thing, because a lot of times when I get really harsh on white people, I don't mean to be harsh. It's just my frustration coming out. We were given a gift. Thank you. Okay. We were given a gift of being human. That means we don't have to act on our fear and have a flip out on our fear. We can say, okay, I'm afraid, but I'm not going to act on it. I'm going to think. Empathy. I'm going to use my critical thinking skills. The animals don't have the critical thinking skills. We have a gift of that. Let's use it. And let's think. They say all that stuff, but that's not been my experience. I remember I used to play with a little kid that was black when I was little, and we were best friends. It's just, you have to, you got to think. If you know something's wrong in your heart, you know it's wrong. Don't just go with the status quo. Don't just go along with the system. Think what's right. But right now we're at a kind of a stage where, Machiavellian type, like capitalism on steroids thing. But thank you for, oh, this is very, very helpful. Thank you. Um, Willie, the abused becomes the abuser. Yeah, it's complicated, really complicated. Um, but, oh, the virus is going to pass. Jillian, I hope so. I get the feeling not so much. But Willie, do horses segregate themselves, white, black, brown? No, we're the only humans that do that. Um, we're the only animal that does that, right? No. In fact, the funniest thing is people think that brown, black, spotted, and white and are beautiful together. We got some issues, us humans do. Yes, we do. Johnny Cash once told me the problem with America is empathy. What does that mean? Or lack thereof, right? Or I don't know. Okay, I admit I don't know like pop culture, and I know you actually knew him. So what? What do you mean by that? Like, tell me more. But Gary, my dad's side came from religious freedom. They live in a theocracy. Um, where did I go? So yes, abuse. Letitia. Let me see. Tell me more. Tell me more. If I'm misrepresenting you, certainly feel free to tell me. I'll just cry. But I mean, it's easy to do with comments. Letitia, gonna play the devil's advocate. Why are whites hated when they literally have the only First Nations that are so diverse? Explain. Explain. I'm not sure. Why are whites hated? Why are whites haters? Maybe is that what you're saying? By what metric are I'm not to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what you mean. I don't think they're bad. I think that we uphold racism by doing nothing. I don't think we're bad. What do you mean? What do you mean? Explain. White Western nations are diverse, the only diverse nations on the planet. So what's your? Well, if I don't understand what you're saying, I can't answer to it. So I'm trying to like get what you're asking. I know it's frustrating. I wish I had you on the line. Then you could just tell us. When we say whites are bad, who are we comparing them to? You mean when black folks say whites are bad? Maybe they are. Maybe when I'm going to assume you're saying when black folks or indigenous people or African Americans say, "Oh, whites are so bad," are they trying to say who are they comparing them to? They're comparing them to their own personal standards. I'm assuming that. I guess is that what you're asking? I'm sorry. I know I must be frustrating you. I'm just not sure exactly what you're asking. I'm assuming they pick what's humane and they decide that you're not meeting the criteria of acting human. That's what I do. So I'm figuring that's what they do too. I think we all implicitly know how to be a good person. And I don't know. I'm bear with me, please, because I'm not sure 100% if I'm getting what you're asking. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know who do I compare them to personally? I compare white folks because they're empowered to what I know humans can be, and we're not doing our best. And if this is our best, this is really bad. I don't know. I do not know. I guess that's a good question. It's kind of a philosophical one. When I compare white folks, there's such a range and it's just a big cluster of people that overall we still have systemic racism. It's wrong. The standard I'm using, I guess, is our Constitution, I suppose, or our humanity. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Maybe that will be a kind of rhetorical question. I'm I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying, but I'm not sure what you mean. And I know that's probably frustrating the hell out of you, but I'm not. It's kind of a equity, equality, what humans think, what we know we could be, what we know our potential is. I don't think we're meeting our potential. Being rotten to a sector of our fellow humans for absolutely no reason is not acting human to me. And I'm comparing it to what I know about humans and probably my own standards. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure. And I'm definitely not answering your question. For example, slavery still exists in most of the brown and black world today. Um, Let me just try to jump in there. Yeah, I don't. I think I'm not answering your question, and I apologize. Um, Willie, we should judge the other color, free race on ethnicity and country because they are not all the same. When we say whites are bad, what are we comparing them to? Um, I've never. I don't think I say whites are bad. I've never said that, but I've see right now I focus on like I really do focus on America um, because I'm not fantastic with the history of the world. And I know a lot of people say, oh, there's always going to be slavery. Well, you know what? Just as technology improves, humans can improve. And we're not really doing that right here in America. We've gone backwards. And that's kind of my point. But I'm not sure. Maybe you got to write to me, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. Um, but right now, I focus kind of on this nation um, because it's just such a huge. Uh, it's just a lot. I don't really label people good or bad. Like I said, I personally believe all whites are racist. It's neither good nor bad. It's depends on where you are and what you're doing. It's not such a dirty word as people make it out to be in my mind, because I believe implicit bias is also um, a part of discrimination, part of racism, because it can discriminate. It's also part of being human. So there is a human. Whites are racist compared to who? Um, Compared to our Constitution that says um, that we're supposed to have liberty and justice for all, and we don't, and we know it, yet we don't actively try to rectify that. If that helps, I'm going to move on because I don't think I have your all a narrative pushed by MSM. Who's MSM? Sorry, I'm sure I should know, but I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I use ignorance. Ignorance was never meant to be a dirty word. It means your opinion is one of, oh, mainstream media. Oh, God, that's so funny. What's it say? All a narrative pushed by mainstream media. What is all a narrative pushed by mainstream media? Right, Willie. All races have done bad things to each other, but right now, my point that yes, there's bad people in every absolutely, but my point is simply this. Of course, you are correct, but right now, white folks who are who hold the power in this, and right now it's obviously it's economic. It's a lot to it. This is a rather philosophical conversation. I'm not sure the appropriateness for it here because I can't hear you talking, so I can't like really ask questions very well. It's hard, but it's a good conversation. It's just hard to do like this. Maybe you need to call in. But yeah, my point is we're better than this. We have to be better than this, and we're not doing better than this. And this is ridiculous because we've had this problem forever, and it's really a bad problem, and people are dying, and people's lives are under constant pressure, all for nothing. So it's a okay. Wait a second. Got one more question. I'm going to go on. Hi to vote Democrat or Republican. Whoa! Everything just scrolled. Um, gotta get there. You gotta get there. Sorry, I completely. Oh, okay. Somebody took it away. That's why. Oops. A Colin! Yay! Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Calling In. What do you have to say?
Hey, what's up? This is Michael.
Michael! Yahoo! How are you?
I am doing great. Not to cuss out regular racist people. That's about it.
Say that once more. I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, people here. Yeah. So anyway, how's the show going?
It's going okay. I'm kind of, we're getting into some very, how shall I say, the Socratic, Letitia is using the Socratic method, which is really, really good and really tough to do when I can't hear what she has to say and I don't understand the details, but she's doing a good job of it. So it's going fine. Do you have anything you want to say? I'm super happy that you have called in. Any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, dealing with a lot of white people who don't have their eyes open to racism or don't want to acknowledge it, complete waste of time. Go in a whole rant about it, might do that another day. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I know it's really. I hear you. I definitely. I got to have you on. Got to find a day when you're not working and get you back on here. So.
Yeah, I need to just be hectic with life, but yeah, just the stories to tell you, it can be a long time.
Well, we'll do. You know what? I was telling a lot of folks don't know what I do exactly, which is giving me a good opportunity. I do the two shows, but what I do is I do interviews. I do interviews of, people who, are like I guess you call famous people. But I also do interviews of everyday people who have a PhD in, experience, because I want to know what's really going on, because I want to educate people about what's going on from the person who lives it. So I do those interviews. I do lots of crazy things. So if you have somebody that you has a story to tell, I also out people's stories, but that's very, very touchy business, because a lot of times they need an attorney, and I won't out their story if they need an attorney, because I could, harm their case, because I'm not an attorney. So I always make them ask first. But I out people's stories. I did usually once the litigation's over, I did for a little guy who, not such a little guy, 14-year-old who took what was happening to him and turned it all around into an incredible, big positive thing. And his dad supports him, and he started a new clothing line. But you want to say anything today, or are you just kind of saying hello?
I'm just kind of saying hello and about to really tune into your show. I'm just kind of finally just done with everything. So I'm going to tune into your show and take it all in.
Okay, thank you. If you have any comments
stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments that aren't really answered. And if you know what they're talking about more than I do, jump right in and tell what you think. Okay, thank you.
All right.
I gotta have you on really soon, because I need you.
Yeah.
You know I need you. I need you. All right. Thanks, Michael, for calling in. You're a sweetheart. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, no problem.
You're wonderful. All right. Bye-bye. That's my friend Michael. Yay. Okay, I'm going to back up, take a couple comments. Willie, we should judge the color-free race on ethnicity and country, because they are not all the same. Yeah, it's culture, and oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Just see who I'm looking for. People I skipped. All races have done bad things to each other. Some people are just bad. That's Willie's saying that. Yeah, I mean, right. There's always going to be someone who has to be, how do you explain supporting that? Okay, I'm not sure what that's referring to, and that's on me because I didn't get to you fast enough. I'm so sorry. White supremacists are the moral backbone of America, and yeah, are the well, moral, the immoral backbone of America. But yeah, that's what this country was built on, and it's problematic. But our founding fathers is, for whatever you might think of them personally, some of which owned slaves, also wrote a brilliant document that is very much changeable over time. And if the people, at least this is how it's supposed to work before the Constitution is being circumvented and destroyed, it's supposed to work for the people. And when the people decide that systemic racism is really messed up, then we won't have it. So that's all. I mean, don't think race really matters at all. Only intentions. Are they noble or malicious? Intention matters too. Intention does matter. I agree. But legally, intention doesn't matter. The minute you make intention matter legally, what you've done is you've made every single person basically get away with it. That would render discrimination to be a free-for-all and absolutely acceptable, because nobody who's white does anything on purpose. I mean, intention cannot matter under the law. But let me see. The number one predictor of a violent criminal comes from a fatherless household. Interesting. Liberal policies encourage single mothers by providing assistance aids so that the state can act as the father. That's an opinion. I disagree with you 100%. I think it can do that, but I don't think it necessarily does do that. In the olden days, they actually had laws that did that, purposely did that. But that's often used as an excuse to not support people who need social assistance. There's always a reason to be hateful to our fellow humans. There's always a reason to believe they're just not trying hard enough. Well, you know what? Easy for us to say. We're not the person in their position. I believe in general that we are incredibly inhumane in this country. Incredibly. Talk about prisons for profit. For the love of God, if that's not the sickest, most screwed up thing, I don't know what is. Let me think. Healthcare systems for profit. That's up there too. So we're not doing our best, people. That's all I'm saying. We are not doing our best. Afraid to kick against the. Oh yeah, I don't think I can say that word, Willie. Sorry to say. Biden just won Michigan. Thanks, Gary. I figured. Nails and glitter. American racism is a special beast. Exactly. And you find that out real fast when you talk to people from other countries. They're like, what? Huh? They don't get it. And it's because they don't know our history. The average person is not for the underdog. I guess probably not. I don't know. Number one predictor of violence is poverty. But thanks, Nails and Glitter. All right. So I have a little rant to say, and I hope you're going to stick around for it a little bit and tell me what you think. As our dear president, okay, yes, sarcasm. I don't know what else to say. I think he's a horrific human being. And who's that compared to? Any other human being you can name, okay? Sorry, I'm just playing with you, Letitia. I'm just joking, but I know who that compares to. As the president spends his time outright lying about the coronavirus to everybody and bullying the people in the CDC from speaking, this thing is damn contagious. And it begs the question that wouldn't universal health care be a very common sense solution by now? Most countries other than us who are equivalent in their wealth have had it for quite some time. Not for like a week, not for a year, not for 2, not for 10. We are nowhere near where we need to be. It's like, yet we are here. Here we are, just saying, but we're American, not giving a shit about our fellow human. Think of the people who, up until today, have avoided going to the doctors and avoided, making sure they don't miss work because they can't afford it. Well, the wealthy people who don't want people to have health care are very silly because they're dooming their own selves, is what they're doing. They're dooming them in, because you see, when you have a contagious disease, this is like so logical. I know people are going to be like, shut up. And you choose not to help people with their health, you will catch it from them. And it is not rocket freaking science. So you are basically screwing yourself, which, has, I guess if that's how you have to learn, but it's a really hard way to go. If you can't act like a decent human being and realize that the idea that having this ideology that some groups are more important than others is my idea is, I follow this Dr. Farmer, who believes that the idea that some groups are more important than others is the root of all that is wrong in the world. And I absolutely agree. 100%. We're a wealthy nation. There's no excuse. Absolutely no excuse other than selfish money mongering. At least if you're not going to act on your own behalf because it's the right thing to do, think about yourself. How not allowing this universal health care for others could harm you. And I truly believe a lot of folks, that's the only thing they can think of is themselves. Why do I believe that? Because we don't have universal health care. I personally, I don't know, call me crazy. I don't want to see my neighbor dying of something that's curable. I don't want to see a little kid fall and break their leg and not be able to pay for it to get fixed. That's sick. That's messed up. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't want my neighbor dying of something that's curable. That's all I have to say. And that's basically what we're saying when we're wealthy and we poo-poo, oh, they don't deserve health care. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We've been trying to get health care. Boy, as I recall, I read about some presidents a long time ago who were trying to get universal health care through. And you know what? We're Americans. We don't want that. Well, it's screwing yourself and everybody else. It's ridiculous. Do you realize that the American healthcare system is one of the only for-profit systems in the entire world for places that are well off, industrialized nations? I mean, we're the best, all right. The best at screwing our own selves. According to a report, the United States healthcare system ranks last among those other industrialized nations in terms of care and performance. The big difference between the U.S. and the other countries, this is what studies show, is the fact that we have no universal health coverage or option. And we run a for-profit driven healthcare system. You get sick, we don't think we want to help you. We want your money. Okay? I'm sorry, that's really messed up. Very messed up. Half the people in America who go bankrupt, this is a stat that's held over time, I bet it's even worse now. Half the people who go bankrupt, it's not because they're buying a yacht. It's not because they're living high in the hog. It's because somebody in their family had a really bad medical problem that was probably ongoing. It doesn't take much. You know the prices. According to a number of studies from last year and the year before, our healthcare system isn't just bad. It is, in fact, the worst among wealthy nations across the globe. And I have been looking into that kind of thing. And I, as a person who's used our healthcare system a lot, I tend to probably believe that's true. What this means is that more people die unnecessarily in the United States due to inadequate care and the pure absence of care than in equally wealthy nations. Our healthcare here sucks, and we accept it. And I find that to be really bad. The issue isn't like American lifestyle. Americans die more than Europeans because of poor quality care and lack of access to care. We die of curable things. How's that sound? A lot of freedom there, right? We can talk about how free we are, but we can't get access to healthcare unless we're really well off. Horrible, horrible. To put it another way, our for-profit healthcare system here in the United States has very few regulations and very little government interference, and it's killing people. And people are greatly profiting from it because America has a for-profit healthcare system. And all I can say is these are not my values, and they make me sick. No pun intended. And now I will take some questions. Thank you for that rant and listening. Let me see. Oh, Letitia, I'm pro black, but I'm a realist. I understand. Yep. I'm not a realist. I love my way. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not. I'm an absolute idealist, and I can't help it. I've tried to be a realist. I've tried. It's hard for me. Really hard for me. And it's probably my white privilege talking. And it's probably a lot of things talking. But I just, what can I say? But no, I understand. Nails and glitter, black folks already get shit healthcare insurance or none. Yeah. No, that's why the worst statistics are from our black brothers and sisters and African American ones for healthcare. We are literally screwing black people, out of their life. I'm sorry. This is, real talk. So we talk real. It's disgusting. Go check out one of my videos on our healthcare system and black people compared to white people in America. And it gets really detailed. And you'll be sick. It's not right. It's medical, it's medical racism, I guess they call it, but it's really bad. Letitia, if one thing should be free, it should be healthcare. I believe personally it's a human right. That's a philosophy. Your life because you're rich is not more important than my life if I'm, your life because you're poor is not less important than my life if I'm rich. That's just obnoxious, because see, rich, all these wealthy people who are monetarily rich, I find them to be the poorest people in the world. To me, they're not wealthy. They might have dollars, but they're poor humans. And so are they really rich? Money's a human construct too. I'm just saying. See, that's where my idealism comes in, that you want to slap me. But some people get their ideologies from selfish, sick people. This is Willie. Unfortunately, some things. Hello there. Let me just finish this one. Some things, it's good for people to be poor. Some people think it's good for people to be poor, apparently. Yeah, I guess so. Welcome to calling in. Hello. What say you? Hello. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I think I scared somebody away. Maybe they'll call back. Maybe that old English. What say you? They're like, what? No, I don't know. Yeah, people who believe that are full of it. Sorry. Nobody, we fall for propaganda. Nobody who's impoverished and suffering and really having to work to just get food on the table. That's not good for people. That's ridiculous. You're not ridiculous, Willie. The ideology is. Greed is going to cause evolution to get rid of humanity. Yeah, well, we're doing it. Okay. Answer. Hello. Don't leave. Welcome to calling in.
You're breaking up on me, Kim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Neo.
How'd you recognize my voice? I tried to disguise.
No, you cannot. How are you? Welcome to calling in.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to comment on the healthcare system.
Yes.
That, excuse me, that you're referring to. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest issues I think that we have to face is corporations are buying out your local hospitals, and they're becoming conglomerates instead of hospitals. So your research in hospitals are not being done the way we used to do things. There's a big Wall Street move to control the healthcare system and your hospitals. I've got 2 hospitals in our area that have been bought out by conglomerates. And doctors can no longer go to the hospitals and take care of their patients.
Yep. Do they not have privileges? They don't have physician privileges, or what is it?
Well, it's become a situation where hospitals are hiring hospitalists from companies that hire these doctors, and many of these doctors are not even from this country, which is neither here nor there. The problem is the only doctor that can go into your hospital, in most cases, I imagine it's almost all over the country, are specialists. Your specialists, like let's say you have an illness that you deal with a specialist. They can come to visit you, but your own personal doctor cannot.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Because is that something that's changed recently?
Well, it's been probably within the last couple of years at the most.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, because I know when one of my children got really, really sick, our doctor walked right in. They wanted her right in there. But that was years ago. It was about 18 years ago.
I was going to say, in your case, maybe in your particular area, you haven't been bought out yet, or your hospitals have not taken over. I would call the hospital, find out, just out of curiosity, because it's become a big business situation.
Well, what's happening in general? Would you say to businesses in general that conglomerates are buying up, and it's because it is a for-profit system, which is absolutely inappropriate.
Not because look,
it's inappropriate.
In how many areas have you been, or people that are listening right now or watching your show, how many have seen how big their hospitals are growing? Okay, that's for more patients. That's for more doctors to move into these hospitals and have their offices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the problem is, for instance, like in my area in Indiana, one of the hospitals is owned by a company out of Michigan.
Interesting.
I'll give you just an example. So we have to look at hospital care or health care as the only way people can get a doctor is to go to the emergency room, because that's the only time that they cannot be refused service.
And that's the most expensive way, and they make the most money too.
Oh, sure, but the thing is, if people can't have insurance and can't have a doctor, how else are they going to get treated? That's why your emergency rooms are filled, and your waiting period and your waiting time is long and extended. And many people don't want to go to an ER because they're afraid they're going to catch something. Believe it or not, I don't like to use that term, but it's the truth.
No, well, I think a lot of people don't want to go to the ER also is because they can't afford it. I mean,
no, they can't afford it because if they go to the ER, they absolutely don't. They have to be treated. That doesn't mean they have to pay.
Right. Yeah.
If they don't have the money, and I can understand that for these people.
We have major issues in this nation. Major issues.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I think so. Well, I am.
And listen, I didn't mean to take up your time, but
not at all.
Call in just to throw my 2 cents worth.
You are wonderful. I am very happy you did. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
You know I love you. Okay. Well,
I know
thank you for that. And you are
you
very informational, and you have lots of stuff to tell. So thank you. I will hopefully talk to you soon. Thank you. I'm outing Neil. He's my wonderful, sweet friend who is very knowledgeable, because he used to do a syndicated talk show all over this country, and he's got serious. He knows people. He knows stuff. So I love having him call in. Thank you so much. Let me see, Gary. On Christian Facebook pages on universal health care, they think churches should be providers, not the government. So only what conservative Christians approve of would be provided. That's just terrifying. I'm sorry, Gary. That is just terrifying to hear. I personally, call me old school. I want a doctor. I want her to tell me what's going on. I don't want a religion to tell me what's going on or tell me what I can and can't have. I don't know. Call me crazy. Um, Call me old school, but I'll stick with the person who has the education. Sorry. You guys, I just can't take some of this religious stuff that I hear. I did not know that. That's very interesting. I'm sure they do. Um, but dang, doesn't good Christians say the same thing about food and clothing banks? Wow. Um, I think that's crossing the line because you know what? I'm happy for their religion, but keep it out of my face. That's all I can say. This nation is something that we don't, separation of church and state. It's there for a reason. Your religion does not get to dictate my life, and it's really scary because pretty soon, when we don't have a Democratic Republic anymore, which could be now, depends on how you judge it. It's not going. We're not going to call it a regime, but it will essentially be a regime with Trump as president, who is above the law. When somebody is above the law and is not just having checks and balances, then they're an oligarchy or a dictatorship. I mean, depending on how far it goes. So I truly believe, it's not good. Not good, not good, not good. Religion needs to stay out of it because you know what? Whose religion? Whose religion shall we follow? Of course, it's going to be yours. Well, yours isn't the only one. So I believe in the separation of church. I wrote an article in my school newspaper when I was 12 years old. It wasn't a great article, but at least it was an article on the importance of separation of church and state. I don't even know if I knew what that meant. Well, I'm going to take a couple more comments. I think I'm going to hold off for tomorrow talking about why moderates in America are not good. White moderates in America. No, not a good thing. It's my opinion, but I want to know what you think, whether you agree, whether you disagree. So that'll be on the table for tomorrow. I have come full circle, well, not full circle, but I've definitely become quite jaded over the moderate white moderates because you know what? The system needs to be dismantled. And there's not two sides. I'm sorry. There aren't two sides to systemic racism. You're being an evil piece of shit, or you believe that everyone is human and deserves equity. So to me, there aren't two sides. So I have a lot to say about that, and I want to know what you think. So I'll read a couple more comments, and I will say good night. And I will say, please join me tomorrow for my live show. Please check out my videos that I've been making. I am so behind in making videos. I am not kidding, I have about like 5 that I'm like on the docket to be put on, but I am one human and I am so crazy busy and I wish I had help, but I don't. It's just me. And so I still haven't put out my last 3. I have 30 hidden history facts, hidden racial history that we need to know. Willie, thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to have you. And I'm going to read everyone through, and then I'm going to say goodnight. And if you believe, like I do, that it is way past time, number 1, for white America to take some racial responsibility. I'm not saying lead the show. I'm not saying save the world. Just give a shit. That's all. Just have to care and not pretend that you don't see what's going on. That's all. Please support me. Please consider subscribing. Getting your friends who need education to do so or who just want to support. It's for everybody. Let me just take a couple more comments. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Willie. Very, very sweet. Who did I miss? I missed a lot of people, of course. Terrible care is why a lot of Black folks don't go to the doctor. Interesting. Green's going to cause evolution. Got that already, right? Letitia, a lot of people refuse to go to the doctor, not just Blacks. Oh, absolutely. I refuse to go to the doctor because it's expensive. I mean, I go when I almost died of friggin' strep throat once because I don't want to spend the money. Strep throat's curable, but I didn't want to spend $50. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm a little stubborn sometimes, um, against my own best interest. Let me see here. They have a reasonable mistrust of racism in healthcare. Yeah, as people should. I mean, you've seen the studies. Even well-meaning doctors and nurses end up giving less pain medicine. I mean, there's some classic studies that are terrifying. Gary, we talked about that. Thank you so much for your great comments. Christians say, okay, we talked about that. Willie, if you're not saved, sorry, no cure. Oh God, no. You mean with religion? I'm agnostic. They would be like, bye, have a happy death. No, I'm not. Don't do that. That's why they support Trump. They think they will have a theocracy. Oh my gosh, you are so right. Like ancient, like Egypt, or who had the theocracy with the religious person? Was that? Am I messing up my fourth grade history with the leader is also the leader is a politician and the religious leader? That's scary, especially when I'm guessing our dear leader, the great one, doesn't know one bit about religion anyway. If he did, he wouldn't be who he was, because if that's how you do your religion, you got some major issues. Okay. That's funny, Willie. If I think I know what you're saying, that's hilarious. I mean, scary, but funny. Gary, that's why. Willie, my mother taught me everything I know. Glad she didn't listen to the Bible, woman. Okay. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Gary. Jeremy, cough, cough. Holy Roman Empire was it the thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I think there were others too, but yes, thank you for. I just remember working with my kid, reading that word, going, I didn't tell her what that was, and I'm like, what's that? Thank you, Jeremy. I owe you big. Presidente nice. All right, thank you so much. Come tomorrow if you want to chat your voice, your choice of topics that have to do with racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption. I had to add corruption. That's sad, but corruption in America. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow if you can come at 9 Eastern, and hopefully we will talk about lots and lots of things. And I want to get your opinion on what's going on in your area with this coronavirus and this total BS we're getting from El Presidente Loco, una persona loco, una persona. Okay, good night, and thanks for being here. And Neil, thank you, Neil. I appreciate you guys so much. This means the world to me. So try to come tomorrow night if you can, and I will see you at 9. Good night, everybody. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll get through this terrible medical scare we're having. All right. Good night, everybody. Yay.